I've heard of this monster before, and I thought it was a mythical oversized anaconda. But I am told that several people here have actually seen it, and that a nearby village had to totally relocate because they were so terrified of the big snake.
Let's start things off with a brand new snake species just recently discovered in the Amazon, a massive sized snake species as well. Yeah, not only is it new, but may also be the largest in the world. A group from the University of Queensland had been searching for the northern green anaconda, which hadn't been documented by science yet. They joined members of the Warani tribe on a 10-day expedition to observe the snakes, and what they saw blew them away. And it would blow anyone away. Take a look at this. Pretty amazing footage. I mean, imagine swimming next to something like that. You're already out of your element, you're underwater, and now you're next to a giant snake? No thanks. But biologist Brian Fry, a man who is clearly a fan of snakes, led the team and was interviewed about the experience, saying one female anaconda they came across was just over 20 feet long, and they were told they can get even bigger, closer to 24 feet. So just back in April, a team of scientists in India uncovered a wild fossil. Might have actually been one of the largest snakes ever discovered. We're talking about a giant snake that could have been 49 feet long. The fossils were found in a mine in Gujarat, and the bones date back around 47 million years. They found 27 vertebrae, which belong to a snake species they've named Vasuki indicus. Using the size of the vertebrae, they estimate the snake could have been anywhere between 36 feet and 49 feet long. The scientists are pretty confident that it was an adult, but they also admit the size estimate could be a little off, so it's not completely set in stone. Now, the Vasuki indicus belongs to a family of snakes that are extinct, but distantly related to today's pythons and anacondas. What's really cool is that this snake wasn't an aquatic like some of the massive snakes we know today. It had a cylindrical body and probably lived on land, similar to how anacondas live today. Based on the fossils, researchers think that this snake was an ambush predator, meaning it would have constricted its prey, just like modern day anacondas do. As far as the climate, scientists believe it lived in a warm environment with an average temperature of around 82 degrees Fahrenheit or 28 degrees Celsius, but there are still a ton of questions about this creature. They don't know much about its diet or muscles yet. The team is hoping to figure that out by testing the carbon and oxygen content of the fossils. Alright, want to see a farmer throw a lasso over a gargantuan-sized serpent monster that just finished devouring one of his cows? Well, you've come to the right place. I am just so glad I live in a place where the only animal that I have to worry about is a raccoon digging through my garbage, maybe the occasional malnourished coyote. So this farmer was out on his property when he came across a gargantuan snake straight up eating one of his cows. The entire cow. You can actually see this huge bulge in the middle of the snake, and yeah, that's the whole cow that's been swallowed. Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw this in real life, I'd probably just throw up and then I'd call it a day. Forget working on a farm. Not worth it if you're dealing with this, in my opinion, but the farmer actually lassoed the thing. I've seen this clip before, and now I'm kind of worried after watching it again for this video. I just really don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. with one of those like gross snake nightmares, the ones where you feel that there's a snake crawling in your bed. It is what it is. Who needs sleep anyway? Well, how exactly do you prepare for something like this? Locals were pretty baffled when they found this ginormous snake chilling under the hood of a car in Sihanoukville, Cambodia. It was a Burmese python discovered in a car near a factory at 12 p.m. on November 24th of 2024. I don't know exactly what happened here. The story is very new. It was just the other day. Gotta imagine someone went to work on this car, lifted the hood, and then had their soul lifted out of their body. I hope the person is okay, but I probably wouldn't be. Don't know if they got the python out of this car or if they just let it build its home inside it and then left the thing to rust. I have no idea. It's hard to find info on this exact story because it's not an isolated incident. Far from it. See, people were interested in what they were looking at here. They had their phones out, some folks were reaching out to touch it, but overall there wasn't a whole lot of shock, and maybe because that's not the only time a huge snake has been found in a car in Sihanoukville, Cambodia. Yeah, it seems to happen in Cambodia a lot. Imagine coming back to your car after a quick trip to the store and you notice something poking out from under your door. What's the first thing you think? Maybe you have a tire problem? I don't know. No, it's a huge python. That's exactly what happened to a guy, once again in Sihanoukville, Cambodia, just this past June. The driver spotted the snake's tail sticking out from under his car Then he returned from the shop. Freaked out, he called the animal handlers who showed up to drag this 12-foot long beast out. The whole thing was caught on camera, and you can see them preparing to put the massive snake into a sack while people just stand there completely shocked. One onlooker, Bong Lai, said the snake was so big, "I never even saw one this big in the countryside. It was unusual to see a snake like this in the city." So, how did this giant snake end up inside a car in this city? Locals believe it came from a nearby canal, which makes sense because reticulated pythons are found all over Southeast Asia. They hang out in forests, swamps, canals. But as cities in the region keep growing, the snakes are coming into closer contact with people. The python's huge, one of the largest species of snake in the world, and they're known to eat pretty much anything they can catch, humans included, though that is luckily rare. But they'll also eat your cat, your dog, they'll eat birds, rats, even other snakes. This next video is captured in the Amazon rainforest. If you're someone who's very skeptical about legends of giant 50-foot snakes roaming around out there, you may want to dig into more footage like this here. Alright, so the video starts off and we see something slithering through the water. Definitely a scaly reptile of some kind, but then we see this. Did someone just travel back to the Jurassic period and film a dinosaur swimming through this river? The Amazon has to be the wildest place on Earth. I mean, literally because of all the wildlife, but also just like wild in a weird way, if that makes sense. Anyway, when I read stories about encounters with Titanoboa-sized serpents slithering through the Amazon, I'm honestly not that surprised when I see stuff like this. Imagine you're just chilling in your backyard, you're enjoying a nice day, suddenly a giant boa constrictor just slithers across your lawn. Yeah, that happened in South Florida. So there's a YouTube channel called Toby's Troop, run by two wildlife experts, Taylor and Rhett, who specialize in rescuing rare and invasive species in the area. They're basically the go-to duo when someone calls about a venomous snake in their backyard. They get calls all the time about pythons, which are a big problem in Florida apparently. So when they got a call about a snake in someone's yard, they didn't really think much of it. But when they got to the property, they weren't expecting what they found. Instead of a python, they came across a huge boa constrictor. According to them, it was the biggest boa either of them had ever seen, and trust me, these guys have seen their fair share of snakes. What makes this whole situation even stranger is that boas aren't even an established invasive species in Florida. So how did this giant snake end up in someone's backyard? Nobody knows. It's still a mystery as to how it got there. According to the TikTok account Google Maps Fun, which is an account that shares fun or interesting things they found while searching the world through Google Maps, as you can imagine, they seem to have found some sort of giant snake off the coast of France. The TikTok, which was posted earlier this year, shows the images from Google Maps that seem to show a gigantic snake skeleton that the user states is about 30 meters long and bigger than any snake caught before. This, of course, has led to talks about this snake possibly being a Titanoboa. TikTok was circulated around the app and gained millions of views, and I can see why. It definitely would be a strange thing to suddenly come across while scouring satellite images, especially in this part of the world. While everyone has been searching the Amazon, maybe the Titanoboa has just been in France all along. All that said, I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.